Hello, my name is Kaceli. The following is a comprehensive tutorial on PowerPoint for Microsoft 365. The tutorial is based on the desktop version of Office 2021. Click here on the Start menu and simply start typing PowerPoint. On the left-hand side, we have the Home option. Home presents us with the option to start a blank presentation or to use various templates that are installed as part of PowerPoint or that we can download from Microsoft, and I'll get into those in just a moment. Then further down here is where we can search for specific files, and here we have recent PowerPoint slideshows that I have used. And under Pinned, this is where you can have particular PowerPoints that you want to have them show up every time that you open PowerPoint by clicking on this little icon next to one of your presentations. Now, under the New tab here on the left, this is where you can select whether you want to start a new presentation or whether you want to use a new template from Microsoft. So the Home was a little bit more streamlined version of the options that are presented here under the New tab. Under Open, this is where we can navigate to the various locations where our files are. We can open recent files that show up here on the right-hand side, or recent folders, or we can go under the OneDrive option, or Shared with Me options, or This PC, which is basically your local computers, and then navigate into the various files and locations in your computer. And then further down here, you also have the Browse option, which is more typical to what we are used to using, where you can navigate the various files, and basically it will bring up the Windows Explorer option to navigate whether you want to go to Downloads or Documents or other locations within your PC. Then further down on this screen, we still have the account. This is where it will display what account we are logged in. Further down here, you have feedback if you wanted to send feedback to Microsoft. And then further down in the very bottom, this is where you can further customize the various settings for Microsoft PowerPoint. We are not going to get into too many of those details at this point, but one thing for you to keep in mind is this is where you can specify the default file location. This is where anytime you press save, this is where your files will be saved. So you can change this to something else if necessary. And obviously there are a lot of other options. So this is just a quick overview of the options when you open PowerPoint. Next, we are going to actually start with a blank presentation and then some of the additional features of the interface for PowerPoint, and then also use templates later as well. So we open PowerPoint, and this is one of the first options that we get presented here to open a blank presentation. So we'll click on blank presentation. We can start utilizing this presentation. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention before we get to actually start designing a presentation, I'm going to explain just a few of the components that you'll see on the general interface for PowerPoint. So on the top here, notice that you have the File option, so basically the menu system here, the Home option, then the Insert, Draw, Design, Transition, Animation, Slideshow, and Record, and so on. If you're new to PowerPoint, you explore what is under each one of those options. Anytime we click on any of these options here, the menu items here, notice that it presents us with a new set of icons. And this whole thing here in the very top of the application, this is referred to as the Office ribbon. So the ribbon is based on the various options from the menu, and it provides us with a set of icons grouped together based on their functionality for the functions that we are performing once we click on that particular option in the menu or that menu item. It's designed so that you use those tabs and these menu items as part of the ribbon progressively. So meaning as you get started with the initial presentation, you are designing the slides, you use the Home tab. Then as you insert other components in your presentation, then you start using the Insert tab, where you're inserting images and icons and shapes and all this other stuff. Then you move to the Design mode and Transitions and Animations, and then you present it. Now on the very top, notice that you also have the Search. This is where you can do a Microsoft search if you're not sure as to how to change something or how to do, let's say, the animation. you can simply type a particular word and then you click on it and it will take you to that particular section on how to do animations for slides. On the top right, notice that because this is PowerPoint 2021 for Office 365, this has some additional functionalities such as sharing this with others on the web and also recording the slides as well, and we'll get to that. Now on the right hand side, notice that you'll have this designer tab. The designer tab, this is depending on what you're doing, it's going to give you ideas on how to design this. Now the designer component is part of Office 365 subscription. So if you do not have it in your computer, most likely you don't have 365. So basically it's giving us some ideas how to start with the design of this presentation. Now further in the bottom here you have how many slides you have on the presentation, some accessibility tools, or some of the tips here how to use accessibility and titles and so on for various slides. Then on the far right here in the bottom you have the notes area if you want to show and hide the notes, and we'll get to the notes. And then you have the normal view. So this is the normal view, what you see currently. You have the option on the left here for the particular preview of the slides. Then in the middle area, you have the actual content of the slide. Now, if we had more than one slide as part of this presentation, you can also see here the slide sorter where you can move slides around and change the order of those particular slides. Now, in our case, I have only one, so I can't move much with those. Then you also have the reading view, which is not really going to be too helpful in our case here in PowerPoint. And then you also have the option for the slideshow. So this is where you present this slideshow when you have content as part of your slides. So if I click right now, there's nothing in it, but that's how I'll present it. And then the plus and minus here, this is where you can zoom into the slides and out as well as part of your slides. So these are the general interface components of PowerPoint. So now let's go ahead and design our first presentation. And we can close these panels on the right-hand side, which basically are tools related to a specific function within the presentation. In PowerPoint, you have different types of slides. Now, this is what it's called a title slide. And you can check those types of slides here. Notice under Layout over here, you have title slide, title and content. You have section headers, two contents, or two sets of content, for example, two charts or so on, comparison, and so on. But most of the common content that you'll use for your presentations are going to be the title slide, which typically is the first one, and then title and content. So those are the two primary ones that you'll be using. To enter content in this presentation, we simply start typing. Now I'm simply clicking on these boxes at this point. Now to insert a new slide, notice I have this option here on under the Home tab, and I have New Slide. If I click on the drop-down, I can pick what type of new slide I want to pick, or I can simply click on New Slide on the upper part of it, and notice it says also Control M as a shortcut for you to insert a new slide. So click on it, and now notice by default it's going to give us the title here and content. Now we can simply click to start typing the title and also click here to enter the content, which we can enter the content as bulleted lists, or we could use any of those components as part of the content. And we'll get into the charts and other components later in this tutorial. So for now, I'm going to just start typing the second slide. And these are, by the way, best practices when getting started with PowerPoint. You want to first make sure that you complete the outline. A lot of individuals, they get stuck with just on the first slide and making it look better and so on. So it's best if you're going to present for a conference or for a meeting or in a lecture, then it's best to just continue creating 10 slides or 15 slides and just enter the main components or the main ideas in there as part of your outline. Next, you'd insert the images and multimedia to enhance your presentation, and then finally, you want to review and revise the content of your presentation and enhance the visuals so it looks very professional. And now to insert a new slide, I can simply click on New Slide. We have 3 slides so far, And at this point, we want to save it. We press save here on the top, so if I press save, now notice it's going to try to save it on OneDrive, but you can choose to save it under other locations or under documents, or you can choose more locations and then come here under browse and pick where you want to save this presentation, and then press save. The other option is for you to press file here and choose save as, and then pick where you want to save it. Now, let's suppose that we wanted to see how this presentation looks so far. So this technically would have taken us, without my explanations, would take about 15-20 seconds to design. If I wanted to present it, you can either go here under slideshow on the top and press from the beginning to present it, or you can go here in the bottom under slideshow and click on it. If I start from the very beginning here, I can click on from the beginning, or if I press slideshow in the bottom, it will start from wherever you are in your presentation. So start from the beginning, and this is how it looks currently with no enhancements or anything like that. If I wanted to make this look sharper, and provided I have my outline correctly set, you can go here under the Home tab, and notice on the right hand side we have this Designer option. So if we click on Designer, it will generate a variety of designs automatically using the Microsoft Intelligence Services. Basically, this is connecting to Microsoft and getting ideas on how to design this presentation to make it look more professional. So here we can simply click on any of these designs and it will apply to the slides, and then go to the next one and click on any of those that you prefer. Notice that once I come back to each slide here, notice I'm presented now with additional options as part of the design that I could switch to. And now if I wanted to preview this again, if I go here under slideshow and go from the beginning, and I click on each slide to advance them, my presentation is pretty much ready. And one quick tip before I move to the next option here is that you can actually start the presentation by also pressing the F5 key on the keyboard. In this segment of the PowerPoint 2021 tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to apply a design theme to a presentation. So here I have a very basic PowerPoint with just a few slides, and I want to apply a design to all the slides in this presentation. So to do that, we go here under the Design tab, and notice you have these various themes. And if you hold the mouse on each one of those, it will also give you a preview of what your presentation would look like. Now notice on the right hand side we also have some variants of those themes as well. For example, the color scheme, various fonts that you want to use, background styles. So now to apply a theme, I can apply this theme to the whole presentation, or I can apply it to only particular slides in your presentation. So to apply it to a whole presentation, I simply click on any of the slides and then go under the Design Themes on the top, and then select one of the themes that I want to apply. If I want to apply a different theme to only one or more slides in the presentation, I can select either one slide or more than one slide here by holding down the Control key. So notice slide 2 and 3 have been selected. And if I go and select a different theme, I can simply right-click and choose to apply it to the selected slides. Now that this particular theme will be applied to only those 2 slides that I selected. Once you apply a design theme to your presentation, you can also go here under the variants and then apply different variants, whether it's the colors, whether it's the fonts, and so on. So if I go and apply this other one, notice that all the slides in my presentation now have changed. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to format the slides into 16:9 format instead of 4:3. Notice that these slides that I have currently here are of the old format, which is 4:3. And if I go to present this, notice it leaves on each side of the screen, it leaves these black stripes here. So to change this, we need to go and change the slide format to 16:9. So it will fit in most projectors out there. To do that, we go here under the Design tab on the ribbon, on the Office ribbon, and then we go under the slide size and choose 16:9. And at this point, notice that all the slides in the presentation have been changed. And if we press play here, or start presenting the slideshow, notice that we no longer have these black stripes on each side of the screen. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to reuse slides, insert slides from a previous presentation into a new presentation that we are working on. So let's say I have this presentation here, and now I want to go ahead and reuse slides. If I'm on the home screen, notice there is an option here for reuse slides, or if I'm on the Insert tab of the ribbon, I can click on Insert and choose Reuse Slides as well from here. So either one of those options will work. You click on Reuse Slides, and then we need to locate the PowerPoint that we want to reuse the slides from. Notice it's smart enough to detect what presentations I recently used. If I wanted to use one of those, I can click on Choose Content, or I can simply click here on the right-hand side and choose Browse, and then go and select one of those presentations. Once I select a presentation, I'm presented with the options with all the slides from that particular presentation. Here, I can select one or more slides by simply clicking on them. It's going to bring them over. Notice it added that one in here. And then if I want to add another slide to reuse it, click on it, and it will add it to my timeline here on the left-hand side. Notice it's bringing over the formatting and all the settings related to that particular presentation as it was on the original presentation. If you do not want to use the source formatting, if you scroll all the way to the top here, you can uncheck the Use Source Formatting, and it will bring the slides over based on the theme and the colors that you're using on your current presentation. Once you're done with importing the slides, you can close this panel on the right-hand side and then start modifying these further as needed. In this segment of the tutorial for PowerPoint 2021 for Office 365 or Microsoft 365, I'll demonstrate how to use the Designer feature in PowerPoint. Designer feature used to also be referred to as the design ideas, and it recently changed in PowerPoint 2021 to be labeled as Designer. Now this feature is here on the right-hand side on the Home tab called Designer here on the right-hand side, or if you go to the Design tab, it will show up as the last icon on the right-hand side as well. This feature requires the use of intelligent services to be enabled as part of your subscription with Microsoft 365. So if you click on Options, notice that under General, you'll see PowerPoint Designer. And it's this option on the right. Now the option on the right here, it basically allows us to click on any of the slides, and instead of spending a lot of time on designing our presentations and making them more visually appealing, we can simply click on any of the slides here and then navigate to those designs on the right-hand side. Let's say I like this one. Click on it, and notice instead of myself having to go and find those icons to apply to this slide, it determines based on the content, on the words that you are using as part of the bulleted list, and it will present the relevant icons and also the layout for the slides. You can obviously change to any of these other designs as well, and if you navigate away from one of the slides and you come back to it, then it's going to give you a new fresh set of design ideas here. So basically we went from this view to this by simply clicking on one of those options. Now you can do this for other slides as well, obviously, by simply clicking on one of those options. As for the color scheme, you can always go and choose a different color scheme from the options here under the variants that might work best for you. So as you can see, it's a very powerful feature that you can utilize to enhance your slides with just a few clicks. Now, if we go ahead and present this, notice it's more visually appealing for your audience. So it's a great feature, and it's a major enhancement to the design services in PowerPoint. In this brief segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to present a presentation. There are a lot of times where if you're new to presentations, you design a slideshow and then you get up in front of a meeting and you start presenting it, and you start presenting it like this. You're just going through the slides by having the preview on the left, and then you're just going from one slide to the other. However, and this might be very simple and very basic, but it happens, and therefore as part of the training for PowerPoint, I'm demonstrating how to present a slideshow. To present this slideshow, this presentation, we go here under Slideshow and then click on From Beginning. And then you can either use the space bar on the keyboard to advance through the slides, and to go to the previous slide, you can press the back arrow on the keyboard, or to advance the slides, you press the mouse button or a clicker on your clicker device or your mouse if you're presenting with it that way. Or if you have a touch screen computer, you can simply tap on the screen and it will advance to the next slide. Now, another way to present your PowerPoint is by clicking here on the bottom under Slideshow, and this will start the presentation from the current location. See, if I'm here on slide number 3, now to start from here, you can simply press Slideshow and it will start presenting it from there. Now, to escape, to get out of presentation mode, we press Escape, and that will bring us back to the preview of the slides here. Sometimes you may not have the clicker or may not find the option right away. You can also press the F5 key on the keyboard, and that will start your presentation as well. So typically in a presentation, it's best to design or to put together your outline first. In that way, your message will flow, the content will flow. The next step is to enhance the presentation. Obviously, you can use the designer feature to enhance the slides in your presentation, but also you can insert here all kinds of other objects as part of your presentation in order to make it more visually appealing. It's not a matter of just throwing a whole lot of stuff as part of your slide and demonstrating that you're a great designer and you know all kinds of things to insert. The idea is to sell your product. And the idea is to emphasize the point that you are making through the use of graphics or content as part of each of your slides. We go here under the Insert tab, and notice you can insert other slides, you can insert tables, pictures, shapes and icons and 3D models, and this is where the latest version of PowerPoint really has advanced. And then you can insert videos and so on. So I'll cover each one of those components separately, but for now I'll just focus primarily on inserting graphics. Now those graphics, you can insert them from the web, or you can insert them from clip art as part of the computer. So if we go here under Pictures, notice you have from this device, stock images, or online pictures. Typically, if you wanted to just get an image from the web, we can go to the web here. So let's say this is one of the images from the web that we want to copy. We right-click on it, we choose Copy, then we come back to the PowerPoint and then right-click anywhere in your presentation and choose Paste. Now notice here you can resize this, and then as you're working with this image, if you double-click on it, notice that the picture tools or the contextual tools related to images show up on the top. So notice we have the different picture styles. We can change and remove the background, change colors, transparency, and so on. And notice you have these different various styles that you can apply to this image that we just inserted from the web. Of course, you can change the border style, the shadow and the glow and all kinds of other settings. So it's just a matter of you tinkering with this. And notice you can change also the layout of the actual image to different types of layouts as well. One important concept in PowerPoint and any of the Office products when you're working with images is also the crop feature. So notice on the right hand side, this image, it extends quite far, and it's just an empty space here. So let's say we wanted to cut this part here on the right hand side. We can select the image, you can double click on it, and then click on the crop icon on the top. Now at this point, we can move the handle here on the right hand side and bring it more toward the left. We can adjust the other handles as well if we wanted to, and then press the crop icon again. Now that the image has been cropped, we can resize it as necessary. Provided you have the latest version of PowerPoint for Microsoft 365, notice that on the right hand side, as soon as we enter an image, you also have the designer tool. The designer tool is identifying that your slide has a bunch of bullet points and also images in it, and it's recommending various layouts to make this slide more visually appealing. So to apply one of those designs, all we have to do is simply select any of these designs, and notice it will reformat all the components within that slide accordingly and automatically. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert stock images in a slide in PowerPoint. So here we have a generic slideshow and we want to insert images to enhance it further. We click here on the Insert tab and then we go under Pictures and then select Stock Images. At this point we can insert stock images or icons or cut out people or stickers. The process is very much the same. At this point we can either search for an object or search for a component, and then we simply click on Insert. We select the image, then we click on Insert. Then at this point we can resize this by clicking on the handles here on the top left, and then place it where we want in the slide. We could obviously apply one of the picture styles from here. We could crop it, or we could apply one of the design themes on the right hand side as recommended automatically and pick one of those that meets your needs. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert online pictures in a slide in PowerPoint. So we go here under the Insert tab, and then we click on Pictures, and then select Online Pictures. Now, Online Pictures is going to search pictures on the Bing search engine. Stock pictures or stock images are pictures that are premium content through your subscription with Office 365. So we click here on Online Pictures and then select a keyword. And notice here it's going to give us the Creative Commons only by default. Those are pictures that are not copyrighted and that you can use to embed in your presentations. If you want to give credit and you want to look for additional pictures, you can unselect the Creative Commons, and then you'll be presented with a lot more options. However, remember that you need to credit those. Then click on Insert. Once inserted into the slide, you can resize this and then apply a theme, crop it from here if necessary, and also consider applying one of the designer layout themes here on the right-hand side. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert screenshots as part of a slide in a presentation. So here we have a slide, and now we go here under Insert, and then go under Screenshot. Screenshot, it basically adds a quick snapshot of any window that is open on your desktop or your document. So if we click on the drop down here, we can pick one of the windows that I have open. For example, this is my Microsoft Edge here. So I could take a screenshot of that and insert it as part of my slide presentation. Or here's File Explorer that I could take a screenshot of that. Or I could do a screen clipping. So if I wanted a complete screenshot of another window, let's say the Microsoft Edge tab, simply click on it, and then it's inserted automatically as part of the slide. Now we can resize this, and it's good to go. The other thing that we can do here is we can use part of a clipping from a particular window that is already open. So we click here on Insert, Screenshot, and then click on Screen Clipping, and then simply hold down the mouse and then select the area that you want to clip. Then resize it, move it to where you want it, and use the other formatting tools for this picture. Here, obviously, you can apply the designer features as well to format this in a much more consistent way. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use shapes in slides in PowerPoint. We have a slide and we want to utilize shapes. So we go here under the Insert tab, and then under Shapes, you can pick any of these types of shapes. So these have been commonly used through any of the prior versions of PowerPoint. So nothing is really new. And I'm demonstrating them simply for you to see how this is done. So I clicked on one of the shapes, and the thing that is slightly different with the shapes is that you have to hold down the mouse and draw that shape on the screen. Once you apply the shape, the contextual tools, the shape format tools show up, and you can modify and change the colors or change the fill and all kinds of other components related to this particular shape. One thing to note here under the shape, and if I double click on it again and I go to the shape format tools, you can actually convert and change a shape to another one if you did not like a particular one, and reformat or transition a type of a shape, and then apply a different formatting style to it. Now, when you're modifying shapes, you notice that besides the resizing of this particular shape, you can also adjust the direction of it by using this handle here in the middle, obviously rotate it as needed. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use icons. Icons are a new feature in PowerPoint that you can insert for consistency as part of your slides or components of a slide in a PowerPoint presentation. So let's say I have this slide and I go here under icons, and notice that we can use any of these types of icons. So you could search for a component, or you could browse for it. Once you have found what you want, you then click on it, drag it, resize it. So in this case, you're utilizing icons for consistency of the presentation. And obviously, you can reformat these to utilize a different color. So by double clicking on it, you go under the graphics format here, and then you can change the fill to be a different color. Another tool that you can utilize in PowerPoint is 3D models. If we go here under the Insert tab and then click on 3D models, then click on 3D model stock images, you can search for those based on the categories or by simply typing in the search box. So you pick the 3D model that you want, then you press Insert. And the advantage of 3D models is that you can rotate them in any direction that you prefer to present it to your audience. And you can rotate them by clicking on the handle here in the middle. And then obviously you can utilize additional tools on resetting it, the various scenes, that is taking the motion off from it. And those various options will depend on the type of 3D model that you selected. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use smart art in slides in a presentation to enhance your presentation. So smart art is basically a way to display, instead of using bulleted lists as part of a presentation, like for example this list right here, it has just the bullet lists. Now you can insert smart art two ways. You can either click here on Insert and choose Smart Art, and then pick one of the designs. For example, if it's a process or whether it's a circle or a hierarchy, adjust it by simply picking any of these designs, then click OK. So let's say a process, then click OK, and then type the content as part of each list. Then obviously for this tool as well, you have the Smart Art Design tools, and you can change the design of this Smart Art by sitting on the Smart Styles here at the top, or you can change the colors by picking a different design color for the slides. Notice you have some three-dimensional options as well. And then on the layouts, you can adjust the layout by changing to these designs. So that's method one, is basically you are inserting smart art and then entering the items for the smart art. The other method is to utilize and convert a list of items that you already have as part of the slide into a smart art. And you do that by first selecting the area where you have the bulleted list. And then if you go here under the Insert tab, you can right-click here and choose Convert to Smart Art. Once you choose Convert to Smart Art, then pick what you want the design to look like. Once you select the specific design, you can further modify it, you can change the colors for it, and the layout, very similar to how I demonstrated it earlier. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert charts in a slide in PowerPoint. To insert a slide, we simply go to one of the slides in our presentation, and then we go under the Insert tab and then select Chart. From here, we can select the type of chart that we prefer. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to pick a column chart. So we click on any of these charts, click OK, and now at this point we'll be presented with the option to enter the data. And let's say these are the various products that we are selling. Then obviously you can update those numbers, and the chart will be updated automatically. Now if we wanted to add a product 5 here, notice you can add it by simply typing the content as part of the other cells in the chart. Close the data field here, the data area, and then at this point we can further modify this by changing the colors, by changing the layout, or by adding other chart elements here on the as part of this display. We can adjust the actual theme for the chart as well. And you can edit the data if necessary, if you wanted to go back to edit and modify the values within this particular data set. Obviously, you can use here the designer tool, and it will give you additional presentation ideas with just a single click. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert slide numbers. So let's say we have this slide presentation here, and we want to insert slide numbers. We click on Insert, and we go under Slide Number, and then specify, place a check mark here under Slide Number, and then click on Apply to All. And notice the slide numbers have been placed in each one of the slides. To further format them, we can simply move this out of the way or change the font by going here in the Home tab, and then making this larger or smaller as needed. In this segment of the PowerPoint presentation tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert sound or multimedia and slides in PowerPoint. So let's say we have this particular slide here and we want to insert a sound file as part of it. So we click here on Insert, we go under Audio here on the right hand side, and then choose Audio on my PC. Now of course you can also record audio, but most commonly used it's going to be audio from a file that you currently have in your computer. So we locate the file. Now, by the way, it is best to store the sound file in the same folder where your PowerPoint file has been saved as well. Otherwise, if you send it to someone, it will not play. They have to be in the same folder in order for it to play when you present it in another computer. So we double click, and at this point we can preview it. We can move this elsewhere, and by default this is going to play only when you click on it. If you want it to start playing as soon as it gets to this slide as you are presenting and you go to this particular slide, then you need to double click on it and then go under the playback icon or playback tools on the ribbon and then select to start it automatically. And then at this point, if I were to present, let's say I'm on this previous slide and I go and present this, now I'll go to the next slide and you'll notice that it will start playing automatically. Notice that you can play the particular sound clip across all the slides. Obviously this would come in handy for certain occasions and not for business presentations. And you can loop it until it's stopped as well. And all of these options are under the playback option here and the ribbon after we have selected the sound file that we insert. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert a media video clip from your computer. So let's say you have a recording somewhere on the computer and you want to play this as part of your slides in your presentation. So we go here to our slide and then we click on Insert and then go under Video. And then you can choose from this device, stock videos or online videos. From this device, we go under the location where we have the video file and then select it, press Insert, and then resize it to what you want. And then notice, very similar to an audio file, if you go under the playback, right now it will start when its sequence comes in to get started once you click on it. However, you can change it so it starts automatically when you reach this particular slide in your presentation. So if I select automatically here, and then if I go to the previous slide, remember this had sound in it, we'll click on slideshow, and then I move to the next slide. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert stock video in a presentation. So we go here to a particular slide in our presentation, and we want to click on Insert, and then click on Video on the drop-down, and then click on Stock Video. Stock video is premium content from a Microsoft 365 subscription. Click on it, and then select any of the videos that you'd prefer from here. Then press Insert, and the video will be inserted automatically. If you select it, notice that you have the playback option up here. You can change the sequence when it plays. If you want it to be with a clicking on it. To test this, we simply press the slideshow. I have changed it so that we'd have to press play to start playing it. And notice it is now playing as part of our presentation. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert online videos in PowerPoint. So here we have a slide, and now we want to insert an online video. We can do this two ways. First, we can use the Microsoft built-in tools by clicking on Insert, and then go under Video, and then Online Videos. We first need to get the URL of the video from the online video. We go and search for the video. And here's the video, and then we click on Share, we copy the URL, and then we come back to PowerPoint. We paste the URL, and then click on Insert. At this point, we can resize this if necessary. We could change the playback options if we wanted to, and it is currently embedded and ready to play. Now, if we go to test this, we press Slideshow here, and we need to click on it in order to start playing. So it is playing a video from YouTube embedded as part of the slide. Obviously, you'll need to have internet connectivity for this to work. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the drawing or annotation tools in PowerPoint. Go here to the Draw tab on the ribbon. Notice we have the drawing tools. Now in this case, this is not a tablet PC or one with a stylus, but this is just a laptop, not even with a touch screen. So in this case, I can use the drawing tools that you can see here, whether it is the eraser, various digital pens, by simply selecting them, and they can be used as part of the slide design to highlight certain areas. So let's say I want to use the highlighter. I can basically simply highlight a particular portion of it, and when I present this slide, then that section is going to be displayed as highlighted here. Obviously, I can also use the various pen options, and if you click on the drop down here, you can make this thicker line and pick a different color or color combinations, and then you're using the mouse to draw whatever you want on the particular slide. If you want to erase something from here, you simply select the eraser. If I go and present this, obviously the components that I used as part of the drawing tools will be part of the slide. There are also options here that you can do ink to text, basically transcribing what you write, or ink to math, and this is where you'd utilize the various mathematical equations and so on, basically your handwriting, but then it's going to convert them into mathematical equations. If you wanted to delete a specific component, click on the selector tool here on the top left, and you can either move it somewhere else or delete it completely by pressing the delete button. In this next segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to duplicate slides in a presentation. So there may be cases where you have one particular slide that you want to reuse it for another purpose. And instead of redeveloping the slide all over again, you can actually simply duplicate that particular slide and reuse the design of it or the components from it. And that can be any slide. So to duplicate a slide, right-click on the existing slide and choose Duplicate Slide. And now we have two copies of it and modify the second one as needed. In this next segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to change the order of slides in a presentation. By default, you'll get a preview of the slides here on the left and the content of each slide on the right-hand side. Here on the bottom right, this is what's called the normal view in PowerPoint. However, you can click on the slide sorter and get a preview of all the slides, and now you can move the slides around as needed. So let's say I want the slide number 4 to be in front of slide number 3. You can simply drag it around and move it where necessary. Once you are done with this, you can go back to the normal view and preview them the way you want. You can also move the slides around by simply holding them here in the normal mode and dragging them up and down as well. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to use transitions in a PowerPoint presentation. If we go here to the Transitions tab, notice that there are, by default, none of the slides will have any animation or transition. It's on the slide level and not necessarily on the component level of the actual slide. So for example, if we go and play this presentation, notice it will look like this. Notice there are no animations. Now we can go here to the transitions, and let's say for the second slide, you can apply any of those transitions here. By default, it's none. You can do the morph transition, and I'll have a separate video for this, the fade transition, the push or swipe, and reveal and cut and so on. Notice there is also a drop down, and you can apply sounds. However, I would suggest that with any of those transitions, they have to have a purpose. You don't want to apply it to every slide and annoy the audience with all the various transitions. You need to make it appealing and capture their attention to what you are trying to sell. And here's how you apply transitions to a particular slide. So you go and select the slide and then click on the particular type of transition that you want to apply to it. If I go to the next one, I can go and change this so that it applies the split transition. And the third one, and so on. Now, if I go ahead and present this presentation, and we're going to advance the slides, notice the transition of this first slide. Now, notice also the transition of the second slide. It will be from the center. And the third slide there. These are subtle transitions, but they are at the slide level. In this session, I'm going to focus a little bit on transitions. So supposedly we have a PowerPoint or presentation very similar to this, and we want to change the transitions from one slide to the other. Now, obviously, you don't want to overdo it because the attention needs to be on the message that you're conveying to your audience rather than the way you're doing transitions, but yet you want to make it appealing as well. By default, you don't have any transitions set. So for example, from this slide to the next, if we go to present this, it will just bring up the next component here. Now, what you can do is you can change it so that if, let's say, I'm here at this slide, and now when I change to the next one, I want the slide so it pushes up. So click on it, and it'll be presented like that. And then when it goes to the next slide, it will be transitioned a certain other way. So you want to keep a balance, of course, between the two. So now if I go to the previous item here and I present this, notice the slide is going up and the next one is simply presented. A cool feature in PowerPoint 2016 is also the morph feature here. Morph It's new with the latest updates. As long as you have the latest PowerPoint 2016 updates, that feature should be there. If you don't have it there, that means that you don't have all the latest updates for PowerPoint 2016. The way it works is it's actually pretty cool. You can take, for example, a slide, duplicate it, and by the way, this is how you duplicate a slide. Right click on it and then choose duplicate slide. And then go to this next slide here, and you can change something on it. So let's say on the first, when you're presenting this particular slide, you want it to be presented this way, but then when they go to the next slide, you want to take away, for example, number 2 here, item 2. And let's assume that you modified it basically. So what you can do at this point is you can choose the option under transitions to morph it. And I'll show you in a moment as to what this does. So it's going to morph from one form into some other form that you tweaked it into. In our case now, if we were to preview this, you can just simply click here on slideshow, and this is how the first slide will appear, just like typically. But when I go to the next slide, notice how it does the animation so that those two items are adjusted, keeping in mind the change that took place from the first slide to the second copy of it that we made. So basically, again, for me to summarize this or to do this again, I'm going to delete it for a moment here. I want to duplicate this first. And now let's say there are 4 steps for the next slide. So I want to add a 4th step here. So notice from this we had only 3 steps, now we have 4. And this 4th one here, and if you remember, you can go here under design and choose design ideas and change this however you want as well. So notice it gives you some ideas as to how to change this. So you simply click on another design format, and let's say I like this one. And by the way, refer to the design ideas video on how to use the design ideas thing. But basically, we had 3 stages here with the original slide. We made a copy of it. We added 4 steps to it. And now for the original slide here, we go and apply the transition, the morph transition here. And now if we go and play this to present it, notice we have 3 steps, and you can go over these. You can even animate the objects one by one, like using animation that I'll cover shortly. But now when we move to the next slide, notice it shifts things around, and it makes it more presentable and more appealing as well to the audience. So you have that kind of animation from one slide to the other. So watch the video again. It's basically you have to duplicate it, that's the trick. Duplicate an existing slide, add new content to the next slide, and then the system will animate or change, morphing the changes into animation and presenting it in a nice way. Remember to also use, under the Design tab, use the Design Ideas option here. Now obviously you can use additional animations here. You have those as well. And remember that you can utilize here other effects as well. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use animations in a presentation. Animations are basically how the objects within a slide will be presented when you present a PowerPoint presentation. Let's say I have this slide right here. It has a title, it has these 4 bullet lists, and it has an image. Right now, if I go and present this, they will all show up at once. To add animation to any of those components in the presentation, you go here to the Animations tab on the PowerPoint, and notice you have all these types of animations, whether they are fly in, fly, float in, split, wipe, shapes, various shapes, and there is even more drop down here and various arches and motions and things of that nature. To apply the animation to any of these components, you can click on that particular item and it will apply it for the items of the same kind. So here they were bullet lists. Notice these number 1, 2, and 3. That means that each one of those will be coming in the order. This will be the first item once it gets to this slide. the clip art will be the second item, and shapes will be the third item. Now the image, we have not applied any transitions yet or any animations yet to the image, therefore the image will come together with the title of the slide. So here's how it looks so far. We have the title, and then also we have the image. First click, it's the pictures. Second click, clip art, and so on. To add animation to the image here, we can do that by selecting the image, going to animations, and then pick some kind of animation that you prefer. It's important that when you use this animation, you don't annoy your audience with all things flying every which direction. It has to have purpose as part of applying the animation. And notice it will be presented as item number 4. So if I go and present it, we have the title, pictures, clip art, shapes, and then the fourth item now it will animate because of the kind of animation that I selected. If you click here on the animation pane, it will also display the sequencing of each item, how they'll be animated. So let's say that I want pictures and clip art to come together on the same click. Let's say I want 1 and 2 pictures and clip art to come in together. So the way you change that is we enable the animation pane on the top right. We click on the second one and then the drop down, and notice it's set to start on a click. Now you can change it to start with previous. That means that clip art and pictures will come in together at the same time. And now notice the number here changed to 1 and 1. If you click on the drop down of these objects, notice that you can also set a timer on them, add other effects and options. Now let's say that I want this image to come with clip art and pictures at the same time. So all these 3 objects to come in together. I need to move this first to right after clip art by dragging it up, and then I click on the drop down on the far right here and then select start with previous. Now all these objects, pictures, clip art, and the image on the right will show up at the same time. We'll present it. I click, it brings all 3 objects at the same time, and then it brings the next item. Also, you can use animation in conjunction with smart art as well. So here's an example of smart art. So we have this right here, and right now, these items will come in at the same time, all at the same time. But let's say we wanted insert to come in first, then smart art next, then modify and adjust third. The way you do that is to go to Animations tab here. You click on the smart art object, and then you click on Add Animation. And we pick one kind of animation here. Once you have applied some kind of animation to the whole object for smart art, now notice here we have the effect options that is enabled. You click on it, and then right now it's going to be presented as one object. So if I go and present this, notice I have smart art, the heading, and then click on it, it brings all 3 options together. Now if I want them one at a time, I click here on the effect options and choose one by one. Now if I go and present it, I have insert, then smart art, and then modify and adjust as separate components. In this next segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert and use hyperlinks in a PowerPoint presentation. So let's say we have a slide here that has a few bulleted list items, and then also it has an image as well as part of this slide. So let's say we want to hyperlink one of the words here so you can click, take you to a website or an article, and do the same thing for the image as well. To insert a link, to link it with text, we simply select a portion of text. It doesn't matter whether it's the title up here or any of the bulleted list items. And then we click on Insert and then select the option for Link. Click on Link here. Now we can link to a document on your computer, or you can link to an address, a URL on a website. A document on the computer, it would be simply selecting a document here, navigating to that file, and then clicking OK, and it will link and bring up that document. However, the most use of this is going to be typically linking to a website or a video of some sort in the web. So now to link, let's say, to any of the videos here, here's a video on learning PowerPoint. Let's say I want to link to this, I can copy the URL, or I can go here under the share icon and choose copy the link from here. Typically for an article, you're going to use the link at the very top on the URL address. For YouTube videos, typically you want to use the share. So once I have copied the link, then go back here and paste the link as part of the address here. You can ignore all this other stuff. Paste the link, Control V in my case, or right click and choose paste. Either option will work. Then click OK. Now that has been hyperlinked. If I wanted to link the image, select the image, click on link, or actually first go to the website where the link is, copy the URL from share or from the top. Once you copy it, click on the image, click on link, right click and choose paste or press Ctrl V. To use a shortcut on hyperlinking, you can also press Ctrl K, hold down the Control key and press K, and that will bring up the hyperlink option. To test it, I can simply start presenting this by clicking on slideshow here on the bottom or slideshow on the top and choose from current slide. And as content comes in, you'll be able to click on it and it will take you to that website or that URL where you chose to link to. Same thing for the image. Now for the image, there will not be a differentiator, a color for it. So notice here for text, this was highlighted. But for the image, you're going to simply see this by holding the mouse on it. You'll see the URL. Now you'll click on the image and it will take you to that URL. So that's how you insert hyperlinks to both text or images or actually any components that you insert in PowerPoint. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert and use notes in a PowerPoint presentation. Typically, you want to use notes as part of a presentation so that you can reference them as you present your presentation. Those notes can be printed, or you can also review them as you are presenting by using the presenter view when presenting the presentation. We go here to any of the slides in the presentation, and those notes will be for each slide. Down here on the bottom, we click on Notes. Notice a new panel shows up, and this is where you can insert your notes. So you just type, and you can have as many notes as you want. Obviously, you don't want to be very granular, but yet you could add facts that you want to reference, but that the audience will not be seeing as part of the presentation. You would go and add the notes to each slide. So here is some other stuff that I copied and pasted. When you present this, and currently I do not have multiple monitors connected while doing this recording, and I'll do a different recording to show the presenter view that utilizes the notes. But basically, if you have the notes and you go into the slideshow and you choose presenter view, if you're connected to a projector or a second screen or a TV, then you can use what's called the presenter view. The presenter view is going to give you a full screen, so the audience will see the actual slides, and then you'll be able to see the current slide, the upcoming slide, and also your notes. So when you go to print the slides, you press File and then choose Print, and then under Print All Slides, by default, it will be the full slides, the full page slides. You can go ahead and change this here to Notes Pages, and then the slides will show up like this. So you'll have a preview of the slide, then you have the content with your notes right below it. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to convert your presentation in a PDF. So we have this long presentation, and I click on File, and then click on Export, and then from here, one of the options is to create a PDF or XPS doc. Click on it, and then click on PDF XPS, and then save it. And then click on Publish. Once it's completed, it's this one right here. Notice it has been converted. Obviously, the animations will not transfer, but all the content of your slides will be converted into PDF. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to share your PowerPoint with others. There are a couple ways to share your PowerPoint. Once you have completed it, you can click here on File, click on Share, and you can share it via OneDrive, or you can share it as the actual PowerPoint format or as a PDF. Now, to share it as a PowerPoint, you're simply going to click on Send a copy of the PowerPoint, and then it's going to open Microsoft Outlook, where you'll go and add the email address of the individual that you want to send it to, and it will send it as an attachment. In this case, for the sake of recording, I do not have Outlook set up. However, if you have Outlook set up, it's going to utilize your current email configuration and simply send it as an attachment. If you wanted to send it as a PDF, you click here on File again, and you click on Share, and then choose PDF, and it'll send it as an attachment via Outlook, provided Outlook has been configured. You can also share it with OneDrive, and in my case it has not been set up, but you'd click on it on OneDrive here, and then it's going to give you an option to enter the email address of the individual that you want to send it to. It's basically going to use a link to send it to that particular individual. In this session of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to present your PowerPoint. Now that you are done with it, let's assume that you want to present this to your audience. So we go here to the Slideshow tab, and you can present it from the beginning or from a particular slide where you are in the slideshow. You can also present it here in the bottom under the slideshow icon on the bottom right, or by using the F5 key on the keyboard. To start from the beginning, we click here on slideshow, and then from the beginning, we'll advance the slides by simply clicking the left button of the mouse, or using the space bar, or using the right key or the up and down keys on the keyboard. Now, the right key will take us one forward, the left key will take us one backward on the keyboard, up will take us backwards, and down forward. So we advance through the slides, but notice on the bottom left there are some options where you can advance the slides left and right by using these icons. And technically you really don't need to use that, but it's one of the features. But notice there is this pen icon. You can use this as a pointer laser to highlight key areas, or come back down here and you can choose to use this as the pen function in it, or the annotation tools as part of your presentation. Now, in my case, I do not have a touchscreen monitor on this laptop where I'm recording this. However, if it was a touchscreen, you could actually use your finger to annotate on the screen. Since we changed this to annotation mode, the clicking of the mouse will no longer work. So you either have to use the space bar, or you have to come here in the bottom left and advance to the next slide. Now, to switch back to the regular mode, you go and uncheck the pen option, and notice the mouse pointer changes to a typical pointer. You can also use the highlighter. Once you select it here, you then can highlight specific areas as you are presenting your presentation. Then advance the slides either by using the spacebar or the arrows on the keyboard. Notice as well, as you are annotating, you can use different colors as well, so you can pick a different blue here and annotate and highlight as needed. Now, if you right-click, you can also advance the slides going next, or previous, or last viewed, or see all slides, like that. Right-clicking will give you the pen, the annotation tools, as well as other options. There is also an option for blanking the screen. So to go to a particular slide, you can right-click and choose See All Slides, and then you have a quick preview of the slides. Then click on it, and it will take you directly there. Then advance the slides, and when you reach the end, it will be a black screen very similar to this. It will say End of Slideshow. Click to exit, and it will exit your presentation. Now, since we were doing annotations as part of the presentation here, notice it will ask us, do we want to keep those ink annotations? Typically, you don't want to keep them unless they were really fancy and worthwhile keeping. And that's how you present a presentation once you're done with it, and use the various annotation tools. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to blank the screen when presenting a PowerPoint to your audience. So there are times where you want to capture the audience's attention and you want to blank your PowerPoint as you're presenting. So let's say we go here to the slideshow and we are presenting from the beginning, and now I got to a certain area in my presentation, but now I want the projector or the TV or whatever gadget that you are using to present to be blanked out. So if you press the letter B on the keyboard, that will blank the screen, and then you press any key and it will bring it back up. If you press the letter W, it will make everything white on your screen. Press any key again, it will bring everything back to where you were before. So this is again helpful for capturing the audience's attention so that they are paying attention to you rather than to the slides at that point in time. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I will be demonstrating how to use timings in PowerPoint. So basically, this is going to record the timings between each slide. So if we go here to the slideshow area and click on Rehearse Timings, notice there's a timer here on the top. It's going to record how long it stays on each slide. And then it will advance automatically if we choose to play it with those timings. And let's suppose that we are done with this point with all the timings for all the slides. Now we press Escape, and then it says, do you want to save these timings? We'll say yes. Now when we go to play this again the next time, notice we click here on Slideshow. Notice there's this option here for Use Timings. That means that if we recorded timings in this presentation, it's going to use those to advance the slides. So if I click here from the beginning, it's going to actually advance those slides automatically because we are using the pre-recorded timings from earlier. And it is advancing this on its own. And we get the idea at this point. I'm going to press Escape. If you don't want to use the timings and you want to do this practice again from the beginning manually, you uncheck the option here for Use Timings, and then you'll advance the slide manually from one to the other. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to narrate your PowerPoint, how to add audio and even video as part of your presentation so that it can be viewed by your audience. Now notice that there is the option here under Slideshow, there is the option for Record, and you can record from the current slide or from the beginning. However, next to Slideshow, there is also the option for Record, and here is where you have additional items specific to recording your video. So we'll start by recording from the very beginning. You have to press Start Recording, but before we press Start Recording, notice that you have your camera option where you can turn your camera on and off here. You can select your microphone. There are additional options. Your script. So this is the view, the teleprompter view. Notice under Views here in the bottom, and this will be very helpful if you're utilizing notes as part of the slides, because in the Views mode, you can select here the teleprompter view where it's going to put your notes at the very top of your presentation, and you can make those notes larger or smaller, or you can use the presenter view, which will look like this, or the slide view where you can see simply just the slide. Now, if you don't have notes, then obviously the slide view is going to be your best option. Before we start pressing record here, notice there are also the annotation tools that you can utilize here in the bottom. Now, once we are ready to start recording, we press record here. And at this point, we can simply speak away and read our script if we wanted to, and just continue to the next slide. Now it's going to capture whatever we have on the screen, including the annotations. If you are planning to use the web camera built-in feature here, you want to make sure that you leave space for your camera area so that it doesn't interfere. So basically you want to arrange your components so they don't interfere with that bottom right of your presentation. This would be great actually for lectures. Press here Stop Recording. And then we could even export this to a video if we chose to. So if we want to export this to an MP4 video, it's going to choose to save this. We can pick a location for it. So it's going to put it under the same folder as our PowerPoint. We click here on Export. So now it's converting this into an MP4 file. It'll be a video file. And this is a new feature, both the teleprompter view, it's a new feature in the PowerPoint 2021 for Microsoft 365. Now this process for saving the video is going to be quite long, so you need to be ready to wait for it. It depends on the length of your video and also on the length of your presentation, the types of slides you have, and the quality of the display, like the resolution that you are using on your computer. Once the video has exported, you can click to view and share the video from here. And then once we are ready, we press exit. Obviously, to locate the video that we just recorded, we can also go back to the folder. And notice it's this one right here. It's about 200 megabytes with this. And it took about 6 minutes to produce it. In this next session for the PowerPoint 2021 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the Rehearse with Coach option. This is a new option in PowerPoint 2021 for Office 365. So we click here on Slideshow and then we'll select Rehearse with Coach. We want to practice our presentation to meet a certain deadline or a certain length in minutes. Also get some feedback from Microsoft on our presentation. So we'll go here and start Rehearse with Coach. So we'll click here, show real-time feedback, and then we'll start rehearsing. So next here it says start talking, and basically it's listening to us. So we'll say, welcome to PowerPoint. In this session, we are going to talk about using PowerPoint. Now we'll advance to the next slide. And at this point, first we need to learn how to create the first slide. We start PowerPoint, then we open the outline tab on the left, and then we start typing under the outline. Then we press Control Enter, and in this case, Microsoft is still listening to us, and it will give us recommendation. So it's encouraging us to keep on going at it, and it's all good to go so far. However, if I use too many filler words, it will start complaining about what I'm doing here and going to suggest that I change and not use specific words or terms. So then we'll go through the rest of the presentation. We'll add the new slides, and I'll continue to do so until we have developed our presentation. Notice there are too many ums that it's detecting. Then it's still expecting me to keep on speaking. Then I'll basically just run through this because I'm not practicing this for real. Notice that it's detecting that I'm using the word basically too many times. And we go through the use of charts, through the use of the various objects, clip art, hyperlinks, and other components in PowerPoint. That's an example of a video. That's an example of a PowerPoint, video from the web, and then best practices, and so on. Now we reach the end, and let's see what it comes up with. It tells us the time that it took to record the presentation, how many slides. Obviously, that's too many slides for 2 minutes. I used too many filler words, and the pace was at 128 words per minute. It needs to be on the green side, and notice there's a chart for it. We can rehearse again and do better at this. So if this were for a real presentation, obviously this would come in very handy, and it's a pretty neat tool before going in front of an audience and saying too many times or using the word basically too many times. In this session, I will demonstrate some of the features that are a little bit more advanced related to PowerPoint 2016. However, it is time-consuming, as you will see. So let's suppose that you have a PowerPoint very similar to this. You're using built-in blocks, basically, to explain a concept. So, for example, in education, you have the traditional form of education, then you have hybrid learning, then you have competency-based education, and then within those, then you have different methods of teaching, for example, synchronous or inquiry-based or project-based, and then action-based and challenge-based education. So the question would be, how can we build something very similar to this and what's involved in designing something similar to this, and how is the animation and all this stuff designed. You can do it a variety of ways, but it's going to take a little time to design it, so I'm going to try to explain the concepts as to how this is designed or how it works. It's designed by using a bunch of methods. For example, the grouping and ungrouping of objects, the using of shapes, and using of text boxes, and then bundling the text boxes with shapes by using the group and ungroup option, and then also adjusting the animation within these objects. To insert the objects, so let's say we start with a Lego piece, and we can go here under Insert and then click on Online Pictures and then Lego. It's going to search Bing, and now at this point you can navigate here and pick something that would be in the angle that you would prefer. For example, this one or whatever the angle that you prefer here. And you can also use these tools here under the type. For example, you want something that is transparent background. In that way it's not going to overlap with other images and other components there. And now notice we have one piece of the Lego here. It's coming up with the design ideas here. That's for another time. We have covered that as well, and you can refer to the video on design ideas or the designer mode in PowerPoint. Now, the next thing that I would suggest that you do is you can click on it and right click on it again, and then copy it, and then right click somewhere else and then paste it. So we are basically just making a copy of the exact image that we had in the first object here. Now, once we copy this, we can move it to the left here. Notice they kind of will change slightly, and then at this point notice that it's kind of overlapping with the first one. In this case, and the concept here is that you can actually then change this so that it goes to the back. You're moving, either bring this one to the front or send this to the back. And the way you do that is by using these tools here on the top where it says Format and it says Send Backward or Bring Forward. Or you can right click and choose Send to Back. Now notice when I chose Send to Back, it kind of lined up perfectly here, and it's one after the other. You could do the same thing. Now we can copy this image here and then go somewhere else and then choose Paste. Now we can drag it and line it up here and then choose to send this back as well. Now notice they are all lined up. Copy it again and then go over here and then choose Paste. And now if we wanted to kind of build it in between here, notice we just stack it on top of it and it's properly set. Then copy it one more time and then paste it again. Now we're going to move it, let's say, over here, another one. And notice you can kind of stack it backwards a little bit or just leave it up a little bit, however it makes more sense for you. So as if it's not sitting properly there. Now copy it one more time and then paste it. And then notice you can stack on top of the next one. So that's how that part of it works. Now the other thing that you can do is you can select either one of those objects here and double click on them, and notice it's going to bring up the formatting tool here. Now under Format, in most cases you can go and change the color from here from the color tools. However, in this case we'd have to go here under the picture because it's actually an image that we copied from the web, and we can go and pick a different color for that specific one. So notice this bottom one, now it's in black. And then if we wanted this next one here in a different color, we go under Color and then simply pick the orange color. Then over here, pick something else. And basically you're tweaking the color for each one of those options here. So now you're customizing these to what you want. Now the next thing that you might want to do is that you're building blocks for whatever the case might be. So earlier I had, for example, education there, or traditional education, then hybrid learning. Click on Insert and then choose a text box. So you want to put a text box right on top of this area right there. So you click here, traditional. Now notice the text there, it's kind of black on red. It's not going to be very easy to see. So we can change that to white. Now notice also that the text there does not properly line up. So what you might want to do is you might want to rotate it a little bit so it kind of matches the direction of their Lego piece. And then now in this case we want to put in there the word hybrid learning. The easiest would be click on the existing text box that you created earlier, copy it, Control C, and then simply paste it, Control V. Notice it's going to stack it on top of the existing one, and then drag it to the next area. In that way, it's going to be exactly the same direction and the same angle. So now we can change this to hybrid. And the next option here, you can do that, the same thing in there, Control V again, paste it, and then drag it here, and do competency-based education. And then here you could have the different methods of learning. So let's say we have here, and whatever the point is that you're trying to make. So you're just copying and pasting against these text boxes. Now, if we go ahead and play this presentation, we have not applied any animation at this point. So everything is going to be presented all in one piece. So you basically need to select the text component here and the piece of the Lego, and then right-click on them, and you want to group them together. Then once you have grouped them together, you want to add animation by clicking here on animation and then choosing a certain type of animation that you want to apply to it. Now, it's also advisable that I would advise that you enable here the animation pane as well. And then you have here the animation of those objects. So when displayed, they'll show up like this. Notice it's missing that part there. So now we want to do the grouping for the other ones as well. So the best, what I'd suggest is you start from the top here, and then you move down to the other items. Otherwise, it will change the order how they appear here. So, and you can play with this option, whatever works best. It will depend on the design that you have, and if it's not slanted like this, then it will be much easier for you. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to group those two together. Then I'm going to go to the next one here. I'm going to click on these. I'm going to group these as well. Then I'm going to go to the next one here. I'm holding down the Control key, by the way, to select the right item here. When I'm selecting more than one, then I'm going to choose Group. Then I'm going to go to the next thing here, Competency. Hold down the Control key, select the proper box for it, right-click, choose Group. Then I'm going to go to the next one here. So now that we have selected them, now we want to apply animation to them. So we click here under the animation. We make sure the animation pane has been enabled by clicking right here, and then choose animation. And then we want that to appear. Then we click on the next section here. Make sure you're selecting the right one. Choose Add Animation. Then you go to the next one, Add Animation. And then you choose whichever order you want. So if you want to start from here, you click on this, choose Add Animation, choose to have it appear. Then you go to the next one, and then choose Add Animation. You can have it so it floats in, it flies in, or whatever you want to do. And then the top one, you could have it utilize a specific animation as well. Now, if we were to play this, so remember, we started from one piece of Lego, we added the text, we sorted them out, we brought it forward and backward and all that type of stuff. But now if we want to play this and present it, notice how they'll come up. So you have the text here first, then you click on the mouse, you can talk about the traditional way of education, then you can have the hybrid type of education, including online education, then you have competency-based education, and then let's say the different methods for synchronous, inquiry-based education, and then you're talking about traditional or whatever it is, that feedback or whatever this would be. If you need to change that to say something else, you could change it to simply just double click on it and say post in there something else. And now if you replay it, it has been updated. So that is how it works, by using an image, customizing it, adding text components to it, bundling them together using the group option, and then applying animation to each individual object. Now, the other method, what you could utilize is, in some cases, it would be, for example, pieces of a puzzle. And we'll add a new slide here, and let's say you can do exactly the same thing for that as well. So you can go to the web here, you can insert from online pictures, and then you can do that with any other images as well. Just bring them back together, find them, locate them, and all that type of thing, and then add them together or bundle them together by grouping them. So here you can pick any of those pieces of the puzzle. You could theoretically use one of those, however you can't. Unfortunately, you cannot unbundle them. So you need to pick something that is a single piece, and then you want to add it. And let's say this one. You want to pick a piece that actually it will kind of fit, so this end will fit into that. So pick the proper piece there, click on Insert. And now once you insert that piece, you want to resize it to the size that potentially you would use it for your presentation. So now here is one. Now you can right click on it, choose Copy, right click again, choose Paste. Now notice we have two pieces of them, so you can take that and put it right next to each other, and then copy this and then paste it, copy, paste it, and then this one, what you could use is you can rotate it this way if you want, and then you can connect it with this piece over here. Then the next thing that you'd want to do is, let's say this one is sticking out. You can actually crop that by clicking on Crop here on the top and simply cut that piece out. Click on Crop again. Now, is it perfect? Probably not, but it gives the idea. Now you could go in here to each one of those pieces and you can simply change the color. So double click on it, go under Color, and then pick something else that you might want. Double click again. Let's say the pieces of online education. You want to have quality instruction, you have to have proper instructor training, you want to have compliance and such. So in this case, what you do is you click on Insert here, you want to do a text box, and you say quality. You could tweak it so that it shows a certain way, and then you want to copy this. So basically you're changing the text here for each component, and then now you click on the text, click on the piece of the puzzle here, and then right click on it and choose. You want to go here under the picture tools, and you can go under Arrange and then choose to group them together. And you do the grouping basically for each one of them accordingly, and I'm holding down the Control key, so you have to select more than one item to group them. You can go under Arrange or Group, or right click once you have selected them and group like we did earlier. Now they are grouped together, or you can select each one of them. Let's say you want to start with this first one, then you go here under Animations, add an animation, appear, and that first one, it'll appear. The next one, you can choose a certain type of animation, fly in, the third one as well, and the fourth one. You can further customize the animation here for each one of them so that they float in for a certain direction. Now if we go to present this, we have the title of the slide. Then we are presenting that online education should be based on quality and focus on quality, then focus on training, focus on compliance, and the focus on technology. And you can keep on building this to your liking. So this hopefully gives you an idea as to how to customize this further and how to add from one single object, build the concept. If you go here under Insert and you go under Shapes, you really could build this even further. Or let's say I want to have this as the background for this, and then you can choose to send this to the back by right-clicking, sending it to the back, and then you could say that this is the platform or the online environment or whatever it may be that you're building this. And even this component, you can further customize it by either adding additional shapes and forms and such, and arrows and all kinds of other objects, and bundling them together, or you could simply go and reformat this by going under the format options here and customizing it further from here. So it's very powerful in how you can customize and tweak objects within the slides in your presentation to make a fancy presentation there for your audience. And of course, do not forget to use Smart Art as well, and that has been covered in another video in PowerPoint 2016. In this next segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a custom slideshow. Here we have a slideshow with 32 slides. There might be cases where with a certain vendor or a certain audience you want to use only certain ones of those slides. So in that case, we want to create what's called a custom slideshow. To do that, we go here under Slideshow, we click on Custom Slideshow, and then click on Custom Shows again. So let's say this is just for the beginners. I want only a few slides. I don't want to go through all the fancy stuff in PowerPoint. Now I pick here on the left-hand side, I pick the slides that I want them to utilize for this presentation. Let's say they need to learn how to use online images. And then let's say I want them to know how to insert hyperlinks. And then we click here on Add, and it's going to add all of those slides to be specific for this presentation. Click on OK, and then click on Close. If I wanted to use just a custom slideshow for the PowerPoint for beginners, I go here under Slideshow and choose Custom Slideshow, and notice there is the option here for solely using PowerPoints for beginners. Click on it, and now it will utilize only those slides that I selected that are for the beginner level for PowerPoint. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to modify the Slide Master in PowerPoint. Slide Master, it's one of the concepts that most people have difficulty with, but it's a very useful tool in modifying a whole bunch of slides in one shot without having to go through each and every one of them to change or to add an element to it. For example, here is this very bland presentation. And let's say we want to add, for every slide, we want to add a logo or an image on the bottom right here. We could do that manually, obviously, for each slide, but that takes time. So what we could do is go ahead and modify the Slide Master. So we go under View, and then go under Slide Master here, and then scroll all the way to the top, and you want to change here the Slide Master, the one that has a title and the other subsections to it, the bulleted lists. Now this will apply to all the slides of the same kind. If we have slides in our presentation that use a title and bulleted lists, this will be applied to. However, if we are using something else that we didn't apply, let's say we have something like this where the text is sideways and this is a different type of layout, then that's not going to apply unless we update it from here. We go to the main one over here at the very top, and then let's say on the very far right here we want to add an image. We go under Insert, we go to Pictures, we go under Online, or we could pick from our own device here. It doesn't matter. For the sake of testing, I'm going to pick Online, and then we choose, let's say, Microsoft. Pick one of the images from here, and then insert it. Then we'll resize it and place it on the bottom right of the slides. We could go and modify the title as well if we wanted to and change it from there. However, this is the master one for everything in the presentation. If we close the Slide Master, actually before we do that, we're going to put a border here right below the title. We're going to change this to use a different design. So if we go to Quick Styles here, let's say I want something like this. Notice with a shadow. Go back to the View tab and then go under Slide Master. I click on Select Slide Master and then click on Close Master View. Now, once I come back to my presentation, notice that all the slides in my presentation have an image on the bottom right. It's obviously not located proportionately there, but also the headings for every slide have this shadow. So it has been updating every single slide, and that's where the advantage of the Slide Master comes in. In this segment of the PowerPoint tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use templates in PowerPoint 2021 for Microsoft 365. You can use templates either when you open PowerPoint initially or after you are in an existing presentation and you want to start a new presentation from a template. Let's open PowerPoint here. As soon as you open this up, notice that there are various themes and templates that you can utilize. You can click on More Themes here, and you get all of these different options. You can search by category for various themes. PowerPoint's related to education. charts, various diagrams, business presentations, or various infographics. So let's say we want a business presentation. So we go back here under business, just select one of those presentations. So these are just templates. So here it is. You simply insert your title, your subtitle, then you pick the content, various paragraphs. If you don't like that one, you can always go and start a new one and then pick, let's say, a different one. You can go to a bright business presentation. You're not reinventing the wheel. You can always modify it and change it however you want, adding the content and creating a very professional looking presentation. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to set the default font to Aptos in Microsoft PowerPoint desktop version. Now, this is not quite as clean as it is for Microsoft Word and having it there for all new documents and new PowerPoints, but there is a workaround for this. So we go here to PowerPoint and create a new PowerPoint, and notice that by default it will be in Calibri headings. To set the default font, we have to modify the slide master by clicking here on View and then go to Slide Master. Once we are in Slide Master, then we need to go here under Fonts, click here on Customize Fonts option, search for Aptos, and for the body as well. Give it a name, and then we press Save. This now it will put a configuration of fonts at the very top. Now, in order for us to make use of this in the future with just a couple clicks, instead of having to come to the Slide Master all the time, we can put up here a quick access toolbar icon. And we can do that by right-clicking here, and we select Add to Quick Access Toolbar. It's not enabled for me right now because I just did this prior to the recording. Now that it is on the Quick Access Toolbar on the top left, anytime that we go and create a new presentation, again, this is a workaround. Notice by default it is Calibri headings. However, we can go up here and select the Aptos Solid default and apply it to all the slides. And now anything that we create for this presentation and any new slides and components that utilize this theme will apply the new Aptos font. Again, it's not an ideal solution for existing installations. However, it is a workaround with just a couple clicks.